Welcome back to Unleashing the Brilliance, the podcast where we explore human nature and experience while learning to live our most authentic selves. I am your host, Amy Bascom. Let's dive in. Hey friends, welcome to Unleashing the Brilliance. I'm your host, Amy Bascom. I want to welcome you to this brand new podcast and tell you some exciting and fun things you'll hear. But first, let's get acquainted. I am a Northern Michigan native with a passion for learning, growing, and evolving into the best version of ourselves we can be. I earned my bachelor's degree in writing, a unique hybrid of creative and technical, from Grand Valley State University, before moving on to achieving my master's in library and information sciences, also known as an MLIS, from the University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee. As a mother to an elementary school-aged kid, I know how challenging life can be when everything compounds and the weight begins to feel too heavy. Raising kids this day and age is vastly different than the world we grew up in. Many of us are cycle breakers, gentle parenting, and doing our best to learn and teach new skills at the same time. Some of us are lost, unsure where we're going in life or where we want to end up. We've lived through a lot in our lives. Terrorist attacks, wars, economic recessions, and a pandemic, just to name a few. We're drowning in student loan debt, experiencing a housing crisis, struggling to find financial independence and freedom thanks to low-paying jobs and living paycheck to paycheck. Many of us are misdiagnosed or getting late diagnoses that help us better understand ourselves and why we are the way we are. Too many of us are masking our true selves, hiding the brilliance of who we are for fear of rejection, ostracization, or judgment. We're fed this lie of how to be successful without ever having our own clear definition of what success means to us. We spend our weeks in therapy sessions, group meetings, or time on TikTok in hopes of figuring out how to feel okay again. If any of this resonates with you, congratulations and welcome to a safe space. I've been all of these things in my 34 years of life. I'm no stranger to childhood trauma, toxic relationships, frustrating divorces, unique co-parenting situations, depression, anxiety, burnout, and feeling lost. Life is messy. Perfection is a myth, and every single one of us is brilliant in our own right. Over the last 2 years, I've embarked on a healing journey to not only discover myself outside of motherhood, but to gain perspective, acceptance, and to find my voice again. There's power in words, both spoken and written, that can either be used for good, like building one another up or passing the positive, or evil, as in ripping one another down to make ourselves feel better. I started unleashing the brilliance for a variety of reasons. For far too long, I've stood by and watched strong, intelligent, beautiful souls be silenced, ripped apart, and suffer alone for fear of being seen as weak or shamed for what happened. As a librarian with a capital L, combating the spread of misinformation by sharing credible facts from reliable sources is part of the librarian oath. I have a passion for psychology and personal experience with multiple forms of therapy, from EMDR to DBT. And as a highly educated person with a master's degree, I know that life and experience is the best teacher. There are some things you simply cannot learn in higher education. My goal with this podcast is to introduce you to some amazing people who have overcome so much adversity in their lives to find their truth and live authentically. We will also dig into some wonderful books on a large scale of topics, delve deeper into what authenticity means, and see just how everything in life is connected. Hello and welcome to 2025. How are we all doing this year? I know the year's just started, and I don't know about you, but I like to take a moment and reassess what I'm doing. So 2024 was definitely a very difficult year for me. A lot of healing, a lot of realizations, some health issues that have come to light that have made some progress in getting diagnosed finally and finding out what to do, what the next step is. And so that, in that aspect, that has been great. In other aspects of 2024, it was a really difficult year, especially at the end. The end, I kind of learned that there is some friends and family that I thought were really close to me, and shit happened, and it ended up being where, hey, we kind of needed to part ways a little bit, add some distance, and that's perfectly fine. I have this mentality sometimes where I would like for the shitty things to stay in that year. I will not bring it with me. A few years ago, I had a friend who we were talking back and forth, trying to see if there was anything romantically there. And he was just being a complete asshole. And I finally said to myself, I can't do this anymore. And I left him in 2022. Which is kind of something that happens a lot. I go through cycles with my friends, especially this one in particular, where usually he says something that makes me mad, or I say something that makes him mad, and we end up not speaking to each other for about a year and a half. It's typically our timeline. And this time around, it was this fall, he said something, and it was kind of like this big epiphany for me. It was this moment where I realized I don't want to change who I am to make somebody happy. He was describing his perfect person or something, and my brain was kind of being like, oh, hey, we can do that. I'm not a goth person, but I could do that. And then there was this new side of my brain that was like, hold the front door. Stop it. What the fuck are you doing? This is old cycles, old patterns. We're done with that shit. We're not doing that anymore. You need to let this person go. You need to let them go and not worry about whether or not they're going to be a person in your life, because they are not aligning with who you are and who you are becoming. And I made the conscious decision to let him stay there. And I think that's really healthy, to recognize when old patterns are popping up and when toxic things are happening, to be able to say, I need something different, and I'm not going to bring it in with me. A while ago, there were some people who had been saying, oh, new year, new you, that's just bullshit. I'm not going to do the new year, new me, because I'm the same you. And I kind of liked that for a moment, until I really got thinking. At any moment, we can have our own epiphanies. We can have our own days to start over, start fresh. We do not have to wait until the new year. A lot of us do. And it's okay if you want to. But we got to remember that every day that we wake up is a new day to start fresh. What happened yesterday does not have to impact today. And so if you are one of those people that are like, hey, new year, new me, go for it. Sit down today and make out your goals for the year. Figure out, what do you want to do? What are you working towards? I don't like saying resolutions, because resolutions, you tend to go all in at first. And then by the time January, the end of January hits, early February, you're done. It has not stuck. It won't happen. And that's because people tend to think, oh, I can't. It is coming from a scarcity mindset. It's coming from a restrictive instead of this positive mindset, this positive aspect of I'm having a new lifestyle and I'm going to choose things that are more aligned with who I am. And I think that's really awesome to have that mindset and not make it a resolution, because words have power. Words mean something when you're saying them. So if you tell yourself this is a resolution, resolutions have a what's that word? Connotation. There we go. They have a connotation of this is something that's going to happen very slowly, or it's not going to happen at all. I have a resolution to lose weight. Okay, well, that's a great goal. Let's break it down. Most people don't want to break it down. They don't want to realize, or they don't want to put in the effort to figure out, how can I meet this goal? They see the end goal. They see the touchdown, whatever, finish line, and they want to be there. And every single goal, whether it is to lose weight, whether it is to start your own business, whether it is to start your healing journey and break cycles and break your own patterns and become someone better, live more aligned to who you are, every single one of those is a huge goal. And it's not going to happen overnight. And I think that's something that a lot of people, at least I know in my life, they don't realize how you got to break it down. And I will be the first one to admit that I am not good at breaking things down. And that is where my support system and my friends come into play. Because I will go to a couple of them and be like, hey, I have this giant goal. I want to start a podcast. Okay, cool. What is my podcast about? I initially wanted to do a podcast about burnout with a partner. And we came up with the idea last summer. And we stalled on it. And then 4 months down the line, I came across a woman, Kathy Heller, and she was running this podcasting boot camp. And I was like, hey, that might be something that I'm interested in, because I don't know the first thing about podcasting. I don't know what I'm doing, but I need to learn. And I am someone who likes to learn things. I'm a librarian, so I love learning things. I love finding out information and seeing how things work out, what the steps are. Not always the best at implementing them, and I think that's where ADHD comes into play. We can talk about that on a whole another episode. And that's when I was like, okay, we're going to do this. So I signed up for a 12-week course. And the way that Kathy and her team broke it down was amazing. And we have groups of other podcasters that are on the same journey as you, helping you break out the goals. And did you know that if you want to start a podcast, did you know that most of them will not make it past episode 7? Like, that's insane. But if you stop and think about it, it's really not, because it's hard work. It is hard work to come up with a podcast, to sit down and actually record. I mean, I'm a single mom. I have a 6-year-old. I have a dog. I'm sure you're probably going to hear my dog in the background at times. And it's hard for me sometimes to sit down and record. And here I am, like 10 minutes into this, and I'm kind of shocked that I'm still going. But bear with me. Let's learn this together. It's going to be great. And so we have these massive goals in our heads of what we want to accomplish, and we don't know how to break it down. So how do you break it down? Well, I'm really glad you guys asked, because this is how you break it down. You have to first make goalposts. So if your ultimate goal is to have a podcast, or your ultimate goal is to lose weight or live a healthier lifestyle, the first thing you got to work on is your mindset. So let's take the living a healthier lifestyle. Let's do that. So I am a diabetic, and my A1C has been like all over the place for the last 5 years, and I could not figure out why. And so my first step was to ask my doctor, hey, I'm on insulin. Can I get a continuous glucose monitor? I need to see what my blood sugar is doing all the time, and not just this cute little moment before I eat, because I was missing the highs, catching the lows, and here I'm thinking my A1C is going to be great, and it's like super high. So she approved that, and I was able to see just what food and how much portion control, how much it was affecting me. And I'm like, okay, so that's step one. I've gathered data. I've figured out that this is what's happening. Okay, I love stir fry. Next time around, a little less rice, a little more veggies. Okay. So then I asked to speak with a nutritionist, because I'm like, I am living off of chicken, I am living off eggs, I am living off peanut butter. And quite frankly, I'm sick of all that. It is not sustainable in the long run. And so I met up with a nutritionist, and we were talking about how to add things, not just remove them. So when you have a scarcity mindset, you're coming at it from something that you can't have. It's restrictive. And when something is restrictive, your brain wants to do it that much more. If someone says to you, hey, you can't be successful, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to say, fuck that shit, I'm going to go be successful. I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to do it. It's the same thing. If somebody says to you, you can't have chocolate, you can't have carbs, what is your body going to crave? Carbs. Chocolate. So if you have the mindset of, instead of taking things out, I'm going to... just a second. I'm going to be adding things. So instead of not being able to have pancakes, because my daughter loves pancakes, I'm gonna keep the pancakes. But I'm gonna do protein pancakes. I can still have bread. I'm just going to have it in a different format. I'm going to do a keto one versus all these ones that don't metabolize right. Sourdough is one that is actually very good for diabetics. Something in the way that it ferments, helps with the glucose, helps with all that fun jazz. And so if you're approaching something with the mindset of adding it, the more you add to your plate, the less you realize that, hey, I'm not missing that. The more veggies that I was adding to my stir fry, the less I was missing the rice, because the veggies were filling me up. Same thing with exercise. If you go in with the mindset of, I have to do this, you're going to hate yourself. So instead of that, go in from, hey, I get to do this. Gratitude is such a huge part. Huge part. Hold on just a second. Sorry, my dog decided to be a little shithead. Getting into garbage and everything. Anyway, so
if you go in with the mindset of, I have to do this, you're going to make yourself miserable. And you know what? The important thing about exercising is just getting your body moving. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you run or if you walk. It doesn't matter if you are pumping iron or you're swimming. At the end of the day, as long as you start to increase your body's movement, your body's going to get used to it. And then you can increase more. And then it becomes a habit. And when it's a habit, it's a part of your routine. And you start to do it automatically. And so that's what I think is so fascinating about the whole New Year, New You thing is we're told we have to do this. And so any gym rats here, they know that the first week or two of January, it's going to be crazy because of all the people doing the resolutions of, I need to lose weight. And they're going to do that. But then, because they haven't broken it down, because they haven't changed that mindset of positive versus negative, they teeter off. It kind of phases out. And it becomes, I don't really feel like going to the gym today. And we just got like 10 inches of snow. I'm not going to go. They find excuses. And then those excuses are like a snowball. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then the longer you wait, the more days pile up, the less likely you are to return. And so gym rats know after the second week in January, odds are it's going to peter out. The ones who are serious about making that lifestyle change are going to be the ones who are going to stick around. So, I don't really know what my resolutions are this year because I don't think I'm really having resolutions. I have left some things in 2024. They're not coming with me this year. And there's some things that I would love to add. And I'm going to take that time this month to really sit and break those down into achievable little goals and goalposts. So that way I know I'm making progress. Because I want you guys to know that perfect is boring. It's boring. And you're never going to be perfect. I'm a recovering perfectionist. I'm never going to be perfect. But we can celebrate our progress. The fact that I am recording this and I will be releasing it, that's huge. The fact that I just lost my train of thought. So yeah, we're gonna kind of wrap this up a little bit. Going on 20 minutes now, so I would like for everyone to just take today, take this week, and sit down and figure out where you want to be a year from now. Who do you want to be? And then give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to be that person. Who cares what anyone else says? Who cares what other people think? Because at the end of the day, what somebody else thinks about you is none of your business. The only person that matters is you. You are the only one who matters when it comes to your opinion of yourself. And in this podcast, we're going to talk about different ways to make ourselves have these ways of liking ourselves better. I get to talk to quite a few people who have gone through the changes in their life, who have been through hell and back, who've been on that personal journey. And I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun with it. I'm really excited. So I'm going to sign off, and I want you guys to have a wonderful, wonderful Monday. Have a great month, great week, and we will catch you next week. Bye.